Yes, that is spelled correctly. It's spelled Darien. My mama didn't know any better. She thought that was Darien. So I answered everything. So here's my contact. Please, if you have any questions or concerns, something funny, send it to me. I'll send something back. So my experience is I did my first, got into the fire service right out of high school, a couple of years, volunteer. Got lucky at age 21 to get on an apartment in Kentucky. And that was a very poor area, but I bet you every other day I had a structure fire. So it was probably the best learning ground I had. So 6 years in Kentucky, and now I am in my about 28th year in Ohio. So I've been doing this, been at every rank possible, almost up to battalion chief. Was chief of training prior to my spot now, where right now I'm risk management and logistics. So anything to do with safety, compliance, or ordering EMS supplies, that's me. So are there any, before we get started, I want to know about you. Are there any electrical engineers in here? Good. I'm not an electrical engineer, far from it. How I got started into electric vehicles is several years back, the chief said, we need a class on electric vehicle fires. Figure it out, give it to us. All right, so this has gone through several revisions of just finding what's out there that we need to know, because I don't know what I don't know. Now, one thing I'll give you is on the thumb drive, do we have any fire investigators? Okay. On the thumb drive, there's probably about 9 different training videos, and 3 of them come right from fire investigations. So you guys have access to that hopefully at some point in time. Presentations tried to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek and funny, because if it doesn't entertain us, I lose myself and I fall asleep. So trying to make it a little bit lighthearted, but yet learn something out of it. So lithium-ion batteries, goals and objectives, we just want to learn about them, okay? So here's all the different batteries that are out there. Like the car batteries, they're great. That is absolutely outstanding for low cold temperatures and a massive cranking power. Thing is, you only get about 70% of the energy out of it. Alkaline, those are all over the place. They're cheap as heck. Those 2 batteries, though, after a while, they start to corrode. Even your remote, you pull it, and you see the AA, AAA batteries, got that corrosion. All right, no big hazard, it's just a pain in the butt. Now, lithium, that's different. And you can recharge all of these. But the lithium-ion, you get 97% of the energy out of that compared to 70% or something else. And lithium, compared to other rechargeable, that'll charge almost all the way up to 97 to 100%. The others, you can charge it back up to maybe 70%. So you're not getting a full value, you're not getting all the energy that you can. So that's why lithium is like the standard anymore. It's cheaper to charge and it holds more energy. So that lithium battery, if you look at it, it's about, if you took a AA battery and a C battery and smacked them together, that's a fat AA battery. All right, so that's the size of it. So all of our power tools, rechargeable power tools, it could have 10 of those in the case. So if you break it open, that's exactly what it looks like. And they've got circuits connecting each other so that it can run in a series and it lasts quite some time. We've got battery packs. Some of these are for like the older cell phones, some of the little laptops and different things. And the lithium batteries here, and again, that's probably filled with just your standard lithium batteries. So here's what we've got. Now these are hard packs, so they don't have these batteries in a series usually. So those are hard packs, but it's got the same exact ingredients in it. So I'm going to say the word Tesla a lot. that's just a generic name for me. The Tesla battery, this is the way it is. So we've got copper and aluminum on two different ends. Think about if we took this table and we laid a sheet of aluminum out. And then the NCA, that's like nickel, cobalt, aluminum mixture. So you've got your aluminum, your NCA, then electrolyte. It's this liquid goo that is very flammable, all right? So you got a liquid glue, or liquid goo, in this separator. Then you've got another layer of liquid goo. Then you've got graphite with copper. And it's a big sandwich, so it's laid out in a big long strip. Now you start rolling it up, you cut it, and you package it. That's how this goes. Now, the one side where it's the copper and where it's aluminum, that's your positive and your negative. On both sides of this, in that electrolyte goo, is lithium ions. Okay, it's lithium, which is, again, it's flammable and it's a metal. So here's the top of one. So a little bit busy, but what I want you to see is there is a disc vent right here. So you've got this, even in the industry, they call it a jelly roll. So you've got this big old rolled thing, it's crimped at the bottom, at the top. There's a few little safety features like a thermal disconnect, that if it gets too hot, it's supposed to shut itself down, and different things like that. But the big thing is, there's your vent. Now, here's our jelly roll. This is all rolled up. In the thumb drive, there's a study. Lumafield did this testing. Their testing is all about x-rays and seeing what things look like. So this is the way it should be. All of those top lines are the negative post. All of those down here are your positive post. Everything in between, that's your lithium and your electrolyte solution. Both highly flammable, all right? Stable as could be, you could charge it, discharge it, charge it, discharge it for eternity. And it's great until it's not great. Now, anytime you invent or sell something that is amazing and everybody wants it, somebody has to come behind you and start making counterfeit ones, right? When you make counterfeit stuff or knockoffs, the quality control drops drastically. So you remember on the other one where, just like up here, these are pretty good. The negatives are nice and tall, the positives are lower. Then you get to the knockoffs, the just counterfeit. Thing is, when you buy these batteries, you don't know what's what unless you do your research. Amazon, you can buy anything on Amazon, and a lot of them are going to be these because they're going to be a little bit cheaper. Who's had a power tool, whether it's DeWalt, Makita, whatever, where the battery goes out? The battery costs almost as much as the tool itself. You can go to batteries, I think it's Batteries and Bulbs and More, or Batteries Plus, different stores, and give it to them and they'll redo it. Or you can watch YouTube, buy these batteries off of Amazon, and you can rebuild it yourself. That's where we're starting to come into problems also. These knockoff batteries are filled inside battery packs, and then someone puts a Delta or a Makita or any other brand name on it, and we buy it off of Amazon, and we have no clue how much of a piece of junk it is or how truly dangerous it is. You know, we're thinking, I just saved 20 bucks, but I still got that Makita battery. So I'm trying not to put out so much scientific, boring, monotone stuff. I found this guy, he cracks me up. He tells us a little bit about how these batteries work. And this is one of those young guys that we would probably try to hire because he seems like he knows what he's doing and he's sort of fun. So, trying to be educational but yet somewhat entertaining. So let's see what he has to say.
Electric cars have a reputation for protection from fire. They flames shot out from all sides, tons of gas are emitted. And I mean mega tons. And it is all because of this. Most EVs on the road today use a lithium-ion battery pack. From the Hummer EV all the way down to the Nissan Leaf. Each EV battery pack is composed of hundreds or even thousands of these lithium-ion cells. Now this one is called an 18650 lithium-ion cell. As you can see, this looks much different than a standard AA battery. But what's inside is very different. So how about we cut one of these open and see how everything's packed inside here.
Now when he cuts one open, it's not energized.
Inside this casing is a metallic anode and a cathode that function as a positive and negative pole. Between them is a non-conductive separator like graphite, which is there to prevent short circuiting. And all of this is sitting inside an electrolyte solution, which aids in the transfer of ions between the anode and the cathode. So because of this design, lithium batteries can discharge and recharge more efficiently than standard batteries. But there is a trade-off. The solvent in the electrolyte solution is very, very flammable. With the anode and cathode packed so tightly together, check out what happens when I do this.
Now this is the stupid stuff we would do in our own backyards. That's why I like him.
Don't try this at home.
I short circuited the anode and cathode, and I exposed the solvent to oxygen. What happens when we get air, fuel, and it sparks? You get a little fire, and the fire shot right under my gosh dang face. You see, it's right on down, it's high as hell. Put that on a t-shirt. So in order to have these batteries get crashed, that whole battery pack bent, cracked, or get punctured, exposing that solvent to the oxygen, creating a short between anode and cathode, getting exactly what we got here. But there are also other ways which these things get ignited without being punctured. That's
Remember, the vent is at the top of those where the positive is. So it did what it was supposed to do.
fire causes the electrolyte solution to expand using gases. That creates pressure, which ruptures the battery's case. When that happens, the flammable solvent explodes out of the case and ignites when it hits the flame. But even
In
if
theory, how long is a single battery like that going to spew or vent?
because the solvent water condition
Get to
temperature is less than 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Once that solvent reaches that temperature, it will ignite as soon as it comes in contact with oxygen. No flame or spark necessary. So if just one of these cells can cause this much chaos, imagine the potential of 8,000 of these packed tightly together, just like in a Tesla Model S Plaid. If even one cell is damaged and ignites, it can cause the whole battery pack to burn for hours. That is called thermal runaway. The initial chemical reaction produces heat, causing more chemical reaction to produce more heat, and so on and so forth. It's a snowball effect, or a fireball effect. You see those crazy videos of electric cars on fire? This is exactly what's happening. Luckily, EV manufacturers understand these risks, so battery packs are super reinforced. Tesla even installs a titanium underbody shield on some of its models to protect the battery from damage.
That's one of those little landscape blocks. That's just for sales.
We've seen how cells can automatically by temperature. In very specific circumstances, to malfunction in each charging system or cooling system can cause the batteries to overheat and lead to a fire. Now, every EV has temperature sensors and computers to prevent these things from overheating. That doesn't always work perfectly. So by now, you've probably got a pretty good idea of how volatile EV fire can be. You might be wondering, well, how hard is it to put out? Can you just douse it?
All right, so you saw the battery, vents at the top. Depending on how much it's charged will also depend on how flammable it is. Because he was able to cut the top off of one, right? Nothing happened and then he unrolled it. But the other two, he either punctured it or he heated it and it took off. That's because those had a charge on it. The more the battery is charged, the more volatile and flammable the contents actually are. So with this isn't a real good demonstration or representation because like we said, these batteries are rolled up, right? So it's not a top half and a bottom half. This is just showing you how things move. So lithium, and they call it a lithium-ion. Do we have any chemists in here? Hazmat guys? Okay, good. Then I'm going to sound smart. So the lithium is a regular element. It's got your protons, neutrons, and electrons that go around. With this, you charge the battery. Those lithium elements get an extra electron added to it, which is now a positive charge, and it goes from one side to the other. So the only thing that moves is this little electron that moves back and forth. That's what this separator is all about. It allows nothing but that little bit of electron. So the lithium itself isn't swaying back and forth, it's just that little bit of electron. So a fully charged battery is going to be more volatile. So the electrolyte is flammable, the separator, the lithium in there is flammable. So most of everything in here is pretty flammable. So cathode has a T in it, cathode. Anode, no T. Cathode positive, anode no T is a negative. If you want to sound smart, you can throw that out at somebody. Trivia. So here's another way to look at it. Positive is cathode, anode. Now on the negative side, wrong button. On the negative side, there's a honeycomb structure. That honeycomb structure collects all of those extra electrons and holds onto it until it needs to go into use, and that energy powers the device. So those blue electrons float across, then get out. It recharges, they go there. So it's electron back and forth constantly. As long as this separator is intact, the positive and negative side never touch. What happens if you take a positive and negative and touch them together with wires? Jumper cables with wire, something happens. The anode, the separator, the cathode, all of those pieces, a human hair is about 50 to 100 microns thick. The separators are about 90 plus thick. So a thick piece of hair, that's all of those are. So they're pretty thin, and actually they're somewhat fragile. The one study that's in here shows that even if you drop one and have the dent in it that you can't even see, you may have just formed a crack or something that could be a fire hazard down the road. So here's something else. These little look like branches coming off. Told you that these batteries do not like really cold weather. They don't like extreme heat either. So if you're trying to charge your car and it's below freezing, these batteries don't tolerate it well. And if you keep doing it, or if you're running it until it's almost out of electric, things happen, and these are called fissures. Obviously, the more damage, the bigger they are. These little spikes can actually penetrate the separator, or remember, this is a jelly roll rolled up. It can actually puncture cathodes, anodes, separators, or anything, and create openings or cracks. So this happens, and you'll never ever see it unless you've got a microscope, but it's going to make holes and cracks in this. In a minute, you'll see why even the smallest of cracks on this stuff is going to be deadly. All right, so one of those batteries produces 6 liters of fumes of gas. So here it's broken down. What's H2? What's H in a element? It's hydrogen. So about a third of what comes out of there in a gas form that you saw is going to be hydrogen. Then you've got a third of CO and CO2, 10% hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons, again, those are explosive, flammable. CO2 and CO, the CO is definitely flammable if you get it hot enough. So all of the gas that comes out of those batteries are flammable. Cool? And of course, 6 liters of gas, that fume, the gas that's coming out of there is going to be coming out at close to 12,000 degrees in a matter of seconds. Hydrogen is the smallest and lightest of any element out there. And of course, hydrogen burns at 5,500 degrees. Now, here's where the chemistry comes in. Hydrogen is up here at the top. Its element on the chart is 1. That's because of all of the elements on Earth, it is the absolute lightest. It is the smallest element out there on Earth. So think about this. How big is a rock? How big is a rock? Tell me a rock. A rock. How big is a rock? Have you seen a pebble? Is it bigger or smaller than his rock? What about a boulder? Bigger. But it's a rock, right? What about sand? Is that not a rock? But think about this. So we've got rocks that are boulder, stones, pebbles, sand, right? It's the same thing, different sizes. If you had a colander or something that had a crack in it, we'll say it had a hole this big in it. Would the rock you described fall through that hole? What about your rock, your rock? Depending on what size it is, depends on if it fits through a crack or a hole. We're telling you that hydrogen is the smallest thing of any element on Earth. How big of a crack do we need for hydrogen to see through a crack? You'll have to see it on a microscope. So that's why when we're talking about things getting damaged, it does not have to be that bad of a damage for hydrogen to sneak out. All right. Also, lithium is number 3. So lithium's pretty small too. We know it's a lithium-ion battery. Who remembers this? I was in high school. Space shuttle, I think was the Challenger. Why did it blow up? It had an O-ring, just an O-ring that was cracked. Hydrogen is a rocket fuel, so hydrogen blew that shuttle up because of a cracked O-ring. So thermal runaway. We saw what happens when we heat one battery up. We have 12 batteries packed tight. Would it matter if the battery that is heating is on the end? Or what if we put it right in the center? Would it matter? Yeah, because the one on the end is going to vent, it's going to burn, but half of the heat is going to dissipate into the atmosphere or the environment. The one in the center probably has 4 or 5 or 6 buddies that it's now touching and heating. And then those 4, 5, 6 batteries are going to start heating up. So that's why it's called runaway. Now they're going to show you 2 different heating times test. One is on a battery that's barely charged and one that's fully charged. But they heat them up the same way for the same length of time. And you can see the energy and the results from it. Nope, come on. All right, left is barely charged, 30%, right, 100%. They're going to heat them up the same way. You see it's getting red? Not a lot happens. The one on the right heating up the same, but look at how much fuel, fire, explosive volatility that comes out of that. So that's the difference between it being charged and uncharged. Charged batteries are definitely a little bit worse. Same thing. The 12 battery pack that we were talking about, it's what happens when you have thermal runaway right in the middle of it. So again, each one of these individual batteries produces 6 liters of some sort of gas mixture, half of which is hydrogen and CO2 that can burn very quickly. So has anyone ever seen tablets or laptops where they're starting to swell? Or even maybe an older phone that's starting to swell up? It's swelling because of the battery pack, all right? And this is what a lot of the battery packs in laptops now look like. So I mentioned batteries, bulbs, and more, or something like that that might be in your area also. I went to them when I was researching the first time I taught this and said, hey, I know you guys recycle lithium-ion batteries. Do you have any old ones or damaged ones I could have? You know, and the guy walked in the back and he's carrying out these damaged batteries in a bucket, and then he had a box, just a cardboard box. And he's pulling these damaged batteries out and putting them in this cardboard box and saying, here. I'm like, cool. We just saw what happens to these batteries. So when I'm looking for these damaged batteries, I've got a little bit of an idea of the potential. And he's walking around with a bucket full of them and just throwing them in this cardboard box. And I'm like, okay. So I take a couple of the Tesla-sized batteries. They look normal. And then he had remember the packet style? He had a chain of those, about 6 of them all linked together. And that went to a laptop also. And half of those were fat. They are not supposed to be fat. They should be nice and thin, but these suckers were fat. I was like, hey, that would be great. I wonder if I could cut like a couple of those packs off because I don't need to carry around 6 of them. I said, that'd be great for class. He says, here. And he's starting to mess with it and it starts to spark. And I was like, whoa, whoa, I'll do it back to Firehouse. So then I'm a very intelligent person. What do? I take that cardboard box with those batteries and I put it in my pickup truck floor and I'm driving back to the station. Then I start thinking, oh, now I'm the dummy that's got these damaged batteries that I know damn well what happens, and they're in the floorboard of the department's truck. I hope I don't hit any red lights because I need to get my butt back to the station quick. So I had one of the lieutenants, actually he wasn't a lieutenant at the time, so that's why I could talk him into this, because he knew promotions were around the corner. I said, hey, let's go and cut one of these. Why don't you put your gear on? And he did, and he picks it up, and he's got cutters, and it starts to spark, and he's like, nope, I'm out. He goes back to the station, takes his gear off, and I'm like, great. I'm not doing this. So actually what I did was I took those puffy packs, placed them in water, took a paper clip, tied it to a stick, and popped them. And as soon as I poked it, this massive amount of gray, smoky air came up out of that water. I was like, oh, that's bad. That was bad. I almost did something really stupid. But,
So, this is maybe off subject, but
yep, hit
my
it.
kids were really into RC cars for a long time.
Yep.
And they went from brushless to brushless motors, went from nickel metal hydride to lipo-based, lithium polymer, which is what you're talking about, the flat ones. So there's a company called Venom that had a lifetime warranty on the batteries. They're expensive. And at first, they want you to ship them back to them. You get on the phone, you call them, and they have you cut the negative cable, not the positive. Then you soak it in salt water for 24 hours.
Yep.
It makes the most eerie, reddish, brown, and I don't know what to do with that once it's there. Then they put it in a box, but imagine this company now has a warehouse full of these things.
Yes. You probably followed directions, right?
I did exactly what they said.
How many people follow directions in the US? And God love them because that's why we have jobs, honestly. And we're going to get to that too. People doing stupid stuff have a special place because I've made a lot of money over the years and had a great career. Bad things happen to good people, but some people just do not follow warning labels or instructions at all. So, just like you said, there are pouches, there's blocks, or there's these into laptops. And of course, you take these out, take them to some place, and they'll refurbish it, whatever. Also, with yours, did they send you, out of curiosity, did they send you a prepackaged box or anything?
So no, you know when we charge them, we put them in fireproof bags.
When I go to the
Okay.
UPS, the postal service or anything, that's one of the questions. Are there any lithium batteries in this package? So how do you explain? Well, yes, but it's completely dead and discharged. So I don't know how you can ship that back properly and also be honest about it, yeah.
Well, and towards the end of it, they said, yeah, we don't want that, just dispose of it
Right, and that's the thing. No, don't send it back, we'll just send you new ones.
here. Oh, okay. At that time, we had this facility before.
All right, so they're heating these up a little bit. And as they heat them up, you can see just the plastic case on the laptop starting to bulge. So I'm assuming the back side, now it's the right side, is where the batteries are. And you'll see it just slightly bulging. Here's the temperature of the batteries down on the left. See the bulge? We already talked about what that gas is. Hydrogen, CO, CO2, and 10% hydrocarbons. All it's looking for is your ignition source. Open flame, a spark, or to get hot enough to auto-ignite. And they're talking about thermal runaway. The cells are right next to each other. So even though you only had one bad cell maybe, now they're heating all of the others up. So this is the best video I've found to show you what the true danger of this is, right? So we've talked about all these batteries and all of the tools and all of our phones, all of our laptops. What about these e-bikes and these scooters? New York City is starting to have laws where you can't have them in certain buildings. I would be scared if I had a large, old college town where we didn't have things sprinklered, because every college kid, half of them can't either afford the parking passes or can't find parking spots, so they got e-bikes and scooters. You have those in unsprinklered buildings, and you're looking at a real danger. So we're looking at a camera, security camera inside someone's home. Right here is a scooter, and it was in this area. You see the dad on the couch with the daughter, and something catches his attention to where he jumps up. And then he walks over, and as he's walking over, it's the oh shit moment. Sorry. And he grabs the kid and is gone. This is in real time, but look at how much smoke, which is all that fuel that we talked about. Look at how much smoke and how quick this comes out of the scooter. This one is, just like I said, this is a perfect example of what e-batteries are capable of. Yep, something happened. What the hell? What's going on? There's a little smoke. He's going to unplug it. Too late. Woo, get out. Not done.
Oh.
Now we're done. That's an electric scooter. Again, what happened to these batteries? We don't know. Was the scooter abused? Was it in a wreck? Did the kids throw it down? Did it get salt water in it? These things hate water, especially contaminated, dirty water. So that's what we're looking at. So, again, I love being employed. People don't do the directions, warnings, or instructions. Bad things happen to good people, but most of the time, if we were there in the beginning, we would have looked at it and said, I wouldn't do that, right? So, how about this guy? Does a little automotive work.
Make me happy.
The fire department uses 4x4 posts, right? For cribbing and stuff, so, I don't know. Old school, putting a penny into the fuses. Even worse. So the cartridge, they got metal piping. That's not going to trip anytime soon. All right. I bet you 90% of us in here will admit it. The other 10% are liars. Who has ever used any size battery charger? And I need my riding mower to start now, so instead of putting it on charge, I swept that thing to start at the highest level possible from full-size pickup truck. I know what I'm doing, but it's not what this is designed for. It's just I feel comfortable, so we're gonna put that thing on the highest setting possible and let's go. Who hasn't done that on something? All right, this is a video, and I love it because she's an idiot, but I use this for an arson class. So, woman walks up, it is not her car, but she hates the owner. So maybe a little bit of gasoline. Love it. People doing dumb things, I love it. Oh. Yep, that was stupid. Right, again, YouTube. How many people watch YouTube to figure out how to fix something on their car or what sensor needs to be replaced? Now they have YouTube videos on how to replace the batteries in your battery-powered tools. You don't have to go and spend $70, just order them all off of Amazon, from China, here, there, whatever, and they give you the instructions on how to do it yourself. People want to save money, so we're going to start seeing things like that. This guy, and again, people are idiots. God love him. He's trying to do his own little TikTok video. He's going to be an influencer or whatever. Joe the carpenter. So Joe thinks he's going to teach us all about proper safety when you're nailing. Again, it's funny as could be, but this also does have something to do with lithium batteries. So we can do it. It's not a 200 speed. But wait, he knows how to go over the safety and start shooting. So this is really thermal runaway. Yeah, find out what his company is so you never hire him.
Safety flip-flops.
Safety flip.
Yeah.
Didn't even pick up on that.
I've seen that guy.
Honestly, think if he was in his basement and look at all that toxic, flammable stuff. Think if it was in a confined space.
Michigan to me. So much of you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, so he basically was trying to show you how to safely throw a 2.5-inch nail through a 2-inch, that beam's not 2 inches. They haven't been 2 inches in how long? But what happened was that nail must have struck and penetrated one of those batteries, which then goes from cathode, separator to anode, right? So somewhere something's now escaping. That's all it needs is that positive and negative to touch. You've got that internal heating and all that gas starts coming out. If you'd have had a light, an ignition source, a lighter, if you'd have been next to something that was sparking, that could have went up. Outside, a lot less dangerous. Inside, again, he could have been in a garage. He could have been trying to rehab that inside closet, anything. So here's some phone batteries. There's a couple funny ones. There's one where guy's a technician. And he's got a real small probe, and he's got one of the, looks like the battery packs. Pop right into the pack, and as soon as he does that with that itty bitty probe, it all goes off. Watch when people are holding these, and it is like an electrical shock. It heats up so much they are like shocked, scared, and they throw the thing because that's how quickly they heat up. Because that's how hot the expanding gas is that comes out of these things.
Catch.
Here's the one that pokes it.
Use your phone, Dad.
It's in his pocket right now. So imagine that thing in your pocket starting to vent at 1200 degrees. The other way. So I'm going to show you one. I want to stop. I think it's in China. The guy's looking at a phone to buy it, and he's smart. He figured out if you bite it, it can tell you if it's a counterfeit or a true iPhone. So let's find this one. Drag this one. All right, yep. East China. So we're looking at the guy, it's either the guy with the white sleeve or the one next to him. Right there, here it goes.
It's like job security.
So here's where one of them was in a pants pocket. Vape pen. How quickly do you think that must come out? How long is someone going to hold a vape pen while it burns to get that? I mean, it is like instantaneous. So that's the injuries we get.
My wife works at a law firm, and they actually have a case going on where a guy had bought a vape battery for his vape pen off of Amazon, and he had it in his pocket, and it went off, and it burned him like that. I mean, just his pants just disintegrated around him.
So I do fire investigations also. So I hear from some of the private guys doing insurance. And a lot of times, if these lithium batteries go off, they don't want you to do anything. They don't want the fire department to list anything. They're just replacing your tool or this or that, and they're making it go away. They don't want us to list battery failures, because then Product Safety Commission and other people start keeping track of this stuff. So a lot of these, and again, ordered it from Amazon. What was the quality control? Where did it really come from? A lot of lawsuits are starting to happen.
They had a hard time trying to find out who was the actual seller, because it was one of these like ghost companies. They just come up with a name, and then it goes away and they come up with another name. So they went to try to see about suing Amazon, because Amazon sold it. And it's still all in litigation right now, but it was...
When insurance companies have, especially for injuries or high dollar loss, it costs nothing to name a person or a company in a lawsuit. So when it comes to a big building that's burnt down, they will list every single person involved, and then it's your problem to get an attorney and expert and say, it's not my fault. But they list everybody involved just to make sure they get the right people, or just to see, because they'll do this, you're 5% at fault, you're 20% at fault, and your company's 30% at fault, and they just start collecting money that way. But, all right, now let's get into the real meat of this. How do these batteries affect cars? So 1900, electric cars were around in the 1900s. So why did these cars not take off in the year 1900?
Battery technology wasn't there yet.
Some degree. Battery technology wasn't there, but in 1900, how many homes had electricity? I mean, honestly, Not a lot of them. So, a lot of the cities, towns had the one gas station, but very few homes truly had the electric capacity to charge these things. And the batteries, I don't even know what they were made of back then. But they've been around for well over 100 years. So this is our basic design. So the entire floor or undercarriage, this entire thing, are all of your batteries. It could be 1,000 of those Tesla cells. And inside here, they could be grouped in like what looks like an ammo can. So you could have a dozen ammo can looking containers. And then it's in this protective thing. Also, it's supposed to be watertight, fire resistant, and it is heavy. These electric cars, while they're designed to look nice and be efficient, they're heavy as all could be. So here we are with different components and how they're like just bundled together. And again, each one of these cans could be 100, 200, 300, who knows. It's called a skateboard design because, well, that's exactly what it is. 4 tires and a center platform. You've got an electric motor in the back or an electric motor in the front, or both. Here you can see the cells under where they've cut it away. Couldn't tell you what kind of car that is, but again, the vast majority of all pedestrian vehicles, they're in and under your floor. Now, we saw that video where the car went over the cinder block. Those are one of those landscaping paver blocks where if you drop it, it breaks in half. Or if you're trying to cut it or tap it, it breaks. So that commercial really didn't impress me. Because we can still think of accidents we've been on or things we've seen, or maybe even things we've done where it would have torn right into one of these. Again, same design. This right here, they drop the entire battery. There's the vehicle above it. And that's as simple as it is. Couldn't tell you how much it costs to replace all of those batteries, but I'm sure it's more than my paycheck. Now, this is the newer design. So those cylinders that we had, that we're calling that jelly roll, they're starting to come out with these rectangular jobs. I'm not sure what the name is, but they hold like 16% more energy, and it takes a lot less energy to recharge. So they're more efficient. But I'm sure it's the same problem, same materials in it. If you puncture it, it's going to vent. If you heat it up, it's going to vent. So it's the same inherent problems. So something tore the bottom of this car out, and you can see all of the individual cells there just hanging. So things happen. This isn't indestructible. And the problem is, we're talking about where are all of these batteries on a vehicle? At the bottom. How do you get water on the underside of a vehicle? I mean, we can lob water through the windows, we can walk up, spray it, we can get it into the wheel wells, but to really get enough water to cool this down, to stop this thermal runaway, it's hard as could be with any water stream. So you got to look into different appliances or fire blankets, and we'll go over that in a little bit. Do you guys have any electric vehicle fire appliances? What do you have?
Yeah, we got fire blankets and we've got a turtle shell.
Yep, I love the turtle shell. We didn't buy that one.
It's, I haven't used much fire, but we trained on it. It's puts out an impressive amount of water.
Absolutely, it puts out what I would call an impressive amount of water compared to what we bought. And I was in training at the time we bought it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And the fire blankets, they're saying that you can reuse them over and over and over. Maybe. Depends on how much heat and for how long they tolerate. But those fire blankets, I would probably, if that thing was fully involved or close to it, I'd get rid of it and buy a new one. And maybe even charge the insurance company to get a new one. So any questions up to now on how we're getting now into the actual vehicles? I talk quick, and that's when I can actually speak, clearly. All right, Tesla crash. And again, little humor. Now, guardrail there or car split in half. If those were electric vehicles, they would be on fire. We've seen crashes where it's going to rip a segment of that vehicle apart, no matter how well built it is. So these things are going to happen, even if it's not a mechanical failure of the battery itself. The external damage is still going to create all that damage we saw where they're driving something through the sides of the batteries. Someone reported this to me and sent it to me and said it wasn't an EV fire.
Send me a picture of what you got too.
What we have is, it must have been individual, like we said, it's almost like you saw ammo cans, like big cans that hold several hundred. Those individual cans must be releasing all at once, and it's just like multiple explosions. So when you watch this, just like Larry said before, what are we putting out? Vehicle fires, the vast majority of the time, if it's an engine compartment fire, it's a total loss. By the time the insurance company puts a new engine, rewires, runs brake lines and all that, it's no longer worth it. It's not a value. So what's the true value and what are we saving here? Now, if this was up against a building, different thing. If it was in the neighborhood, different thing. This is in the middle of the highway where they shut it down. How close do we want to get when we see stuff like this going on? So, and I'm all about aggressive firefighting. I am absolutely about it, but only when there's a reason to do it, something truly to save. I want a tire rolling. But this was sent to me and they said this was an EV fire. So that's gotta be something truly, truly significant. So this one, the top of a bus is actually what catches fire. And if I didn't know better, I would think this was an LPG, natural gas, compressed gas fire. But when you look at it, you can see nothing but sparks and all that energy coming off of it. This would be almost worst case scenario, because the bus is pulling up and look at it. It's right in front of a building that is nothing but solid glass. You guys are going to be so understaffed, under-resourced right from the start. It's going to be overwhelming, and I hope we never have to deal with this one. Nope. Come on. They want to puff. There's all your toxic, flammable. Watch how quickly that fire grows. You would have to be on the scene when it starts to get people out of that. The 911 call probably isn't even done right now. So I just found this video, and it shows a guy that slides out of control. Not a massive crash at all. Little car, it looks like, I don't know, could be a Tesla or anything. I keep saying Tesla, but everybody makes electric vehicles now. If you've never been in an electric Mustang, you need to find one and sit in it and listen to that thing. So super quiet, but they also have a button that makes it sound like a muscle car. Just because that's what they're supposed to sound like. I got into an Uber in Nashville, and it was an electric Mustang 4-door, super quiet, and I was asking about it, and he goes, oh wait, boop, and then you could hear just the engine rumbling like it was, an old school muscle car. I thought, oh, that's cool. But this car slides out of control in China. There's 4 people in the car, driver, 3 passengers. This problem is the electric door handles. So think about this. The cars, a lot of these cars are slick in profile. They don't have external door handles. These handles are 100% electronic. What happens when the electric is, you cannot get into these vehicles. So China is starting to outlaw these electric door handles because of this right here. There he goes. It's not a big crash. It's trivial. He gets out. Talking to the people in the car. Oh, got a little something going on. Don't know what it is. Shit, the door just shut. And where are the door handles? Good Samaritan coming by. Panic. Look at how quick that smoke. Now we see some fire. There's 1. There's 2. This person was a fatality. Again, this is real time. This is how quickly they go up. Just because the lithium and that electrolyte fluid are both extremely toxic and flammable, and the gases they produce when they escape are all 100% toxic. It's just, aren't the Tesla trucks, aren't they advertising that their windows are damn near shatterproof? Again, I hope we don't ever have to deal with it. Here's the problem I'm having, or what scares me in my district. These buildings are going up so rapidly everywhere, and they're beautiful on the inside. So, what does anyone see? Tell me what you see.
Way too close to the street.
Don't even worry about the cars. Don't even think, tell me about this building. This is anywhere, it's residential, apartments. What do you see? All right, there's a door, there's a door. I see the canopy for the other door. Does it look like there's anything special about it? It's a new building, so it's sprinklered, so we're cool with that. You see the first floor? Guess what that first floor is? Did I hear it? It's a parking garage. That first floor is nothing but parking. You walk up to the windows and you can see all the cars. 1, 2, 3 floors of apartments. But that first floor is nothing but a parking garage. Of all the vehicles we just saw catching fire, what are you going to do if one of them's under here? Yeah, it's sprinklered. Again, we're talking that much fire that quick, it's going to overrun a sprinkler. And the sprinkler is coming top down, cascading on top of the car. The batteries are where? It's not going to do a lot. So we have these popping up all over the place. The nice thing is there are charging stations on the outside of this building. But I don't have to charge my EV every night. I'm just in town tooling around. I don't have to charge it until how often? I don't know. So I'll park it in the parking garage where it's covered and I don't have to get snow off of it or anything else. There's the entrance to it. So now you as a fire department have to go for a vehicle fire that ends up being an EV fire. That's where honestly the fire blankets are going to come in the best if you can catch it early enough. But think about once you put that blanket on and it puts the actual flames out, does it stop all that toxic, flammable smoke and fumes and gases from escaping? Now it may or may not be venting out a window, but you're in the middle of it all. So you've got to get that vented too. These are awesome buildings, but All right, here's the problem. These batteries hate water. They hate dirty water, especially salt water. All right? And did I not say that each one of these batteries does have some degree of a vent attached to it? Albeit it's supposed to vent in one direction, is it possible that liquid gets in through one of those vents? Yeah. A lot of one-way valves, clapper valves, this, that, whatever, things get through it, it bypasses. So, let's talk about vehicles and water. All right, that's not good.
The battery box is electric vehicle, it is watertight, however, there's vents in the side.
Wait. Hold on. This guy makes a comment because someone's videotaping an accident. And the woman, I guess the wife of the guy videotaping, oh, stop videotaping. It's just, it's gonna make you giggle. And that's one of the reasons why I put it in. He's teaching us a lesson, but he also made me laugh because it's real world what we're about to see.
The battery box is electric vehicle, it is watertight.
Can you hear it? Here's your EV, completely underwater.
The next incident happened here in Canada. In this case, the owner was unhooking his boat when his vehicle suddenly took off.
See, right now she's telling him, stop recording, stop recording. Look at the vehicle. It's on the tow truck, and it catches fire now. Yeah, put it back in the water. All right, so here's a serious question. A lot of jurisdictions have their own impound lot. The police, whether it's impound, tow from a wreck, whatever, do you guys do your own impound? No, probably not? Good. But there have been cases where there's been a fire, an accident, whatever. They tow the car to an impound lot, salvage yard, what have you. Several days later, it actually catches fire. So think about, you've got a fire, car fire, it's an EV, it's on level ground. Somehow we're actually able to show up, put the fire out because it didn't get too bad. Awesome, we won. Tow truck comes, either puts it on the flatbed or it puts it on the hook. Once that car starts shifting, do you think those batteries are staying in place? Do you think they're going to shift? Do you think things are cracked or going to start to leak? Any movement of that vehicle from then on can start and reignite or make it vent again. So you can transport this prior burnt electric vehicle that is now extinguished. You can transport that to a lot or anywhere else. And it is possible to catch fire while transporting or even a day or so later at the impound lot. Whatever you do, do not allow anybody to put a damaged EV in one of your lots undercover. It needs to be out in the open all by itself if you have any authority or decision making. So these things do happen and it's not good. I don't know what's happening with this car. It's all by itself. Darren needs to hit play. There's a little smoke. What's going on? Coming from under. Now it's under pressure, and boom. Again, that's more than one battery here. So how many batteries are involved, we don't know, but that's your thermal runaway. One starts and it just, a chain reaction gets them all going. And if it gets hot enough to auto-ignite the hydrogen or the CO or any of the hydrocarbons, then it ignites all by itself. So we've got decisions to make depending on when you get there and what you see. If it's an entrapment, man, you're in the worst case scenario. Do something. Compartment versus the battery. If it's a compartment fire, like it's the interior cab, it's the passenger compartment, put it out just like any other fire. That's a standard vehicle fire. Do your thing. But if it's the battery pack, it's under it, and you see it's under pressure, now you have some extra decision making, some factors to bring into your tactics. What exposures are involved? Can you shut this thing down? Or can you get this vehicle to get away from whatever's going on? All right. The battery disconnect. They're all over, each car that's an electric vehicle has a battery disconnect. Before you start anything, if you can grab that battery disconnect and pop it, do that please, because then it's just disables the battery from the rest of the vehicle. So if you're going to do any kind of extrication, popping a door, a hood, or you start cutting on it, absolutely disconnect the battery, because then it just kills everything from the battery forward. That way, if you were to accidentally cut an orange line, hopefully it's not energized because you disconnected it from the battery. Will this do anything if the battery pack is on fire? Absolutely not, because all this does is more or less unplugs that battery from the rest of the vehicle. So the disconnect, you must do this if you want to deal with the car on anything other than the battery pack being on fire. I've seen these, I've not had a lot of positive feedback on this. So this is more or less a dummy plug, a universal plug. You throw it into the vehicle real quick, and it's supposed to simulate the vehicle being in park, and it takes over everything. That way this thing doesn't electronically go into drive, neutral, and start moving. I don't know how well these work, but these are out there. I've not heard much about them. It's positive, but what would it hurt? They're not that expensive. So we've got our deck gun down at the bottom, our ram. We've got the turtle, and then this is what our department went with right here. That is just a long glorified garden sprinkler in my opinion. But the nice thing is, we attach the sled looking device to it, and then you have this whole thing you can just slide from a little bit of a distance. But honestly, if you've got a charged hose line, you can push a charged hose line the same amount of space and distance with anything else. Or the turtle, you see it's got handles, get your longest pike pole and start pushing it. But try to make the distance between you and that vehicle if possible. The ram, I love them for structure fires, but you've got to get that thing under the vehicle. So all this is going to be for is exposures or anything else. All right, so the fire blanket. These are great. I would probably say it's a one-time use, and it does not take away from all of those flammable gases that are toxic and flammable. So that's the big thing, is it does take or smother the flame, but it does not stop the runaway from continuing. And these blankets are a couple $1,000s a pop. See, they work. They're going to heat up the EV externally. Fortunately, there was a lot of wind that day, you can see. Otherwise, I bet that car would have taken off a lot quicker, because it's pushing a lot of that heat from that pan away from the batteries. Kick the bottom under so it doesn't get any oxygen. Basically, you're trying to suffocate this thing.
Does that blanket even go over the side of the truck? It's huge.
No. That, I don't know if they sell them in multiple sizes, but I think it's a fairly standard size. And again, they're not cheap. And look at how much thermal abuse these blankets are taking. They're not going to last. So again, for me, with accidents like, that you have, you can recoup supplies and different things and charge it to the insurance company. I would not use a blanket twice. I would just ditch it. Because you can't guarantee what kind of abuse it's taking, as far as thermal. All right, here's a safety question. We're all about safety, right? 100%. If I were to offer you a piece of protective equipment, firefighters, that is the best for safety, and I'd give it to you, would you take it, or would you tell me to keep it and get away? What about these European helmets? What if we gave you a European helmet for free? Would you use it?
That's right.
Most people would tell me to go away. They hate them. So I was going to put one on my desk when I was in charge of buying this equipment. I was going to get a hold of one and just put it on my desk and see how many people start complaining when they walk by going, what the hell? Come on now. So this is what my department has. It's okay. It cools things down, but it's nothing compared to other items out there. That's, if the thing's already on fire, we're in trouble. Come on.
Darren, I know there are apps and resources on how a department can chase information on shutdown for different makers and manufacturers. Have you got any recommendations or feedback on any of those? Or?
I've got some links right here that we can show you,
Okay.
but you're going to have to stay on top of it every year and every manufacturer because it changes. All right, it's not wanting to play one of the slides here.
So Darren, if we've got a damaged EV or hybrid vehicle, we tow it back to the fleet department. We've got a large yard over here in between fleet and sanitation. What kind of radius or what kind of space do we need in between these damaged EVs to let them sit?
I would go at least 10.
10 feet?
Just so you can get it, and that's just me making up a number, but that way you can get enough of a breeze and a current to circulate, to keep it cool, for people to walk around, get equipment, at least 10 feet on every side. No. You can see it on the preview, but for some reason, this slide is not wanting to play. and it's the turtle, what you have. So when you see the turtle shell, in comparison to what the big
Puts
yellow
out a ton of
banana
water.
stick, it puts out such a massive amount of water in the same time frame. It's ridiculous. So what should we really do? Best case scenario with a vehicle that has had a electric vehicle, the battery pack catch fire. You want to turn that thing into a submarine. That's honestly what you want to do. Because if it's had a fire like that, remember it's total. Now, I don't know of anybody, and I've never seen this, but obviously you can take it somewhere, set it up like a drop tank. There's a steamer cap right there, and you can fill it up. How do we get the vehicle from here and roll it into here if there's any kind of fire going on or dangerous situation? I applaud them for this thought. I don't see you guys buying it or utilizing it. Now, I've seen these in different places in like Europe or in the salvage yards. They'll just drop a car right into a dumpster and fill it with water. You turn that sucker into a submarine. That's the best way to do it. So after the incident, we talked about where do you take this piece of junk now? It's of no value, but insurance companies are still going to look at it because there's a thing called subrogation where the insurance company wants to know who's at fault for all of this damage because we want to sue them to get our money back. So while we consider this a total vehicle probably, the insurance company is going to want to look at it so they can have an expert determine if somebody did something wrong so they can sue and get money. So please keep it outside, away from anything. Understand that yes, this can reignite. Recycle. What do you think happens to some of these batteries that didn't catch fire? They recycle. Here's a thing to think about also. The batteries that aren't good enough for vehicles, they're not quality, something happened where they just didn't make the mark, they're a little subpar for vehicles. Maybe they're good for energy storage systems, like any place where you see solar panels, the homes where they have the EV batteries from the solar panels, or maybe those batteries are downgraded to your power tools. All of those batteries are going to be used somewhere. So they also recycle them. They will ship them out and break them down and try to use all of the internal parts because it is hard to get and it's of some sort of value. So get it out of the way, largest amount of water you possibly can. So most all these vehicles, if it's a bright orange or even a dull orange, if it's a red line, if it's an electric line of any color, orange or red, do not cut it, obviously. The rocker panels near the tires, those are probably your best place if you do need to cut. So for the firefighters, a dash roll, you might be okay with that. But again, try to strip away as much of the plastic molding as you can to visualize it. So if there's a hole in this vehicle that was created by the accident, don't use that as a purchase point to start spreading. You don't know what's under there, use what's designed with the vehicle. Don't use anything that's already started as a purchase point or that was created from the accident. So again, battery damage, is it off-gassing? Even if it's not off-gassing at the moment, get in full turnout gear, pack on, and at least have a mask with you. Just in case that thing starts to off-gas, because you saw how quickly, once you see that first, how quickly it can go from a puff to flames. So you can have things like the QR reader to get you to some of the information. There are these sheets also that show you each individual vehicle as to where the electric lines go. Again, the thing is, these vehicles they may change the make and model every couple of years. So you really gotta have a binder or an app on your phone to keep you up to date with what's where. But really they're out there, but there's so many of them. It wouldn't be bad to, if you have your NDT, get as much information as you can loaded onto files. And how long things burn depends on how many cells are involved, what kind of damage, what was the charge, was the vehicle 30% charged or 70% charged? So those are the big factors. So hopefully you get a little bit more understanding now of why these lithium batteries are so volatile and dangerous. If you have any questions at all about the batteries, the designs, the use, or the what-if tactics of what happens if you roll up on one, or even what to do with the vehicle after the fact and someone starts to tow it away.
I know Tesla has their emergency response website, and you can go on there and see their emergency response stuff where they'll, like you were just showing them. Do you know, is there any other website or app that has like other vehicles not named Tesla?
I'm sure there are. There's so many of them you'd have to get on each and every one, because I know, I think, who has the Maverick? Is that
There's
Watershed?
one called EVR.
What I would honestly do, I would grab an ISTA book or something where it starts talking about extrication and see if they have anything listed. You know, just start looking at those specific resource books, because other than that, I would have to search
I would do that.
and just do a Google and see what kind of apps there are. But definitely download them if you can to your MDTs, keep them on a file. That way, if first engine in is going, maybe the second in engine, that officer, whoever's riding up, can actually start doing some research. Because the first crew in, they're gonna be so busy getting stuff together, looking at the incident, getting the size up. Somebody else might wanna start looking at it. Or even one of the guys, the roughnecks in the back. Get your phone out, start looking at this while we're rolling. But yeah, definitely try to find all those apps or files and get them saved somewhere. Any other questions or concerns? Like I said, I'm not an electrical engineer, but hopefully I found enough dummy information that we can relate to it that made you laugh and made you remember a few things. So my information, again, call me if you need anything, email me if you need anything in the future.
One thing I'd like to add, and Chief, kind of direct this to you, what Darren has talked about, what I've talked about, really pushes me to make sure that your 911 operators are asking the question on the call, is it fueled with an alternative fuel? And number two, on dispatch, the verbal dispatch, not necessarily what's coming across the CAD, but the verbal dispatch that acknowledges if it's fueled with an alternative fuel. That's a game changer when we leave the house. We know our first due, we know the area we're going to, but if you just dispatch to a vehicle fire and then show up and find out it's an alternative fuel vehicle, you're behind the curve.
All right, let's take a little short break. We've got some vehicles parked here on the other side of the gate for a little hands-on. Y'all are welcome to join us if you need to get elsewhere. I know you firefighters have seen the vehicles. Like I said, don't feel like you have to join us, but you're welcome to. These guys will be here for any questions and answers. Thank you all for coming. You firefighters, I have mad respect for you guys, and thank you for what you do. And everybody else, man, appreciate you all too. So I hope you learned something. This video is going to be available here in a few weeks, and put it out there for people who may benefit. So make sure everybody sign the training log, and we got information for those of you outside the organization. And thank you, gentlemen.
You guys involved in fleet, I should have mentioned this earlier, but please make sure that anybody driving one of these vehicles know where the emergencies are, where the shutoff is on electric, where the vent tube is, where the pressure relief devices are on a CNG or LNG type vehicle. Sometimes a driver gets trained on this truck, today he's driving this truck, it's different. And fire department arrives on the scene, has to ask those questions, I don't know, I don't have a clue. Also too, on the CNG vehicles, make sure they understand they have a responsibility and obligation to shut off that supply in the event of a fire before they run to the next county.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.